Hello, everybody. Looks like I'm live. This is the Q&A, first one of 2025. I'm excited to be here. God bless all of you, and let's proceed. So remember, now you can ask anything you want, eh? First question I have is, why do so many people struggle to achieve their New Year's resolutions? Okay, couldn't be a better question. There's a very simple answer, but the answer is the fundamental issue of humanity's problems, including large scale problems like war and prejudice and everything. And it's called cognitive dissonance. Now, it's easy to think of cognitive dissonance as something, it's just like some little neurological thing with a couple of neural nets, which is what it is. Neural nets means neurons that fire together, wire together. They join, and then they form a line of thought or an idea or a belief or a program. But the issue is the power. There's a differential between the, the frontal cortex that made your New Year's resolution. So you did some reading, you got inspired, you have some ideas. You may be very, very highly educated academically or not, but you form the idea, the dream here. But but this only processes 40 bits of information per second. It's very, very weak. It's only active a maximum of 5% of the day. Now, that's all cutting edge neurology. That's hardline science. All the rest is in the subconscious mind. The ratio from here to the subconscious mind, the minimum, one school of thought, the old school of thought is 1 to 1 million. The new school of thought coming out now is 1 to 2 million. So the subconscious is 2 million or 1 million times stronger than the frontal cortex. And the subconscious mind runs 95% of all your life. It's running everything. And it's subconscious, so you don't know. You don't recognize it. So you make your idea, the New Year's resolution, or like people want to have world peace. We should all get along. All the different colors and varieties of human beings should all be friends. But in the subconscious mind, there's imprints, downloads, entire entangled neural nets that disagree with the idea you have. And they come fundamentally from your mom or dad, but they come from all over the place. They're downloaded between the time you're conceived until you turn 7 years old. They're downloaded at a rate and a complexity, a detail of 40 million bits of information per second. That's why you don't achieve your New Year's resolution. If you achieve your New Year's resolutions, if everything in your life is working really well, all that means is you do not have cognitive dissonance in that area. Now, you might be a person, like so many of us, we have a lot of success in certain areas and no success in other areas. All that means is No cognitive dissonance in area A, cognitive dissonance in area B. But what I'm going to do in this collective in 2 days here is go through your subconscious mind to make sure there isn't cognitive dissonance that will block you in 2025. Did I answer that question? Question, how big of a factor is consistency in achieving a goal? It's everything. Remember this formula because it goes across the board. Frequency, duration, intensity, and then you can also add timing and quality. But the first three, frequency, duration, and intensity. So the frequency is how often do you either feel it, do it, taste it, whatever you're doing, how many times. Duration is how long. How long. So think of boxers, big professional boxers like Mike Tyson. With my hand, if I hit him like that, he doesn't care at all, right? Those guys get hit by punches up to 1,000 pounds pressure and they don't fall down. So I just do that. Doesn't mean anything. And if I do that once an hour, it doesn't mean anything. If I do it like that for 20 hours, you think it'll mean something? If I do that, it'll mean something. Consistency is paramount. I use a different word instead of consistency. I like the word vigilance. Vigilance. Life requires vigilance. Every morning when you wake up, it's a new day. And you have to apply yourself. You have to form your new habits, and you have to cultivate them all the time, every day, all the time, every day. That's called life. Consistency. Without consistency, you have nothing. Nothing. Okay? Fire away, guys. I'm ready for everything and anything. Question: how to know if someone is meant to be a part of my journey going forward into the new year? Wow, that's a great question. How to know if someone's meant to be a part of my journey? Well, this is something where you need your heart and your feeling and your intuition, and then there's a trick to people. There's an old samurai saying, by a long journey we know a horse's strength, so the length of days reveals a man's heart. So if you meet someone, if they're new, it's going to take time. My old buddy Joe Belozich, that was like a second father to me for nearly 30 years, he used to tell me, he'd say, when you meet somebody, you give them a blank sheet of paper, and they will write on that sheet of paper all by themselves, I am a good person that you can trust. I'm a liar and a cheat. I will protect you and love you and care for you. I will rip you off and take everything you own. Just a matter of time. So the initial thing is when you meet people is what is your feeling? But don't just trust your feeling ever. Con men are great at. I've been conned in the past because I've always was over trusting, and they conned me. Con men or con ladies or whatever, they're all over the place and they're very smooth. That's why they always say, watch what people do, not what they say. That's how I got conned. I just assumed that my intuition or whatever would pick it up. It didn't. So you watch what they do, because the old saying, actions speak louder than words, is absolutely correct. Also remember, people can always act. That's one of the problems with the United States police force. It only takes 6 months to become a police officer. Anybody can act for 6 months. In Japan, it takes 4 years to become a police officer. It's not easy to hide if you're a psychopath or an idiot or whatever, and you're going to carry a gun. It's not easy to hide your uh, pathology or your dysfunction for 4 years. It's very easy to hide it for 6 months. So you need time, pay attention to actions, you look for consistency. Do people do what they say? And then you need time. So don't overcommit, right away. Okay? Does that help? I hope I answered that question. What is the best way to prepare for this collective to get the most out? Very, very good question. What you want to do when you're coming into this collective is this is a organizational, goal-oriented uh, collective to facilitate you having direct success. And it's specific to you. You may have plans or resolutions, new habits that are designed for business or are designed for your body, for your health. So it is very important. These are the things that are important to you. So make sure you're very clear what they are. Think about and strategize and plan. And of course, I hope by now, if you've been with me for any length of time, you know whatever you've designed, they should be completely aligned with your values. If they're not, it's worthless. So always the goals or whatever you're going to try to initiate, they need to align with your values and you need to have clarity with them. And then when you come into the collective, your files and the any dissonance will show up easily. And in the collective, everybody matters. Everybody is contributing 100% of their subconscious relative to each question asked as I go through the collective, and all that is available to be cleared. And what that does is it's like a scatter gun. Collectives are like a scatter gun, like a shotgun. So it's widest possible scan. Remember Star Trek with Captain Kirk would fire phaser, widest possible scan. So he's covering a big, large area. General idea is we don't miss anything. Privates are vertical dives, very, very, very lasered. But these collectives, we have all the people who are going to be there, all contributing, and the amount of information there for me to work with, you could never measure it. Okay, so that's what you need, clarity. Okie doke. Question: how to figure out the correct location to be in, one that resonates with your soul. Hello, Rhonda. So I'm assuming you're not talking about just the collective. You're talking about where you want to live, is what I'm assuming from that question. That's very important. That's why I left America and I'm living here in Thailand. Since I was born, I never, ever felt I belonged anywhere in Canada or the United States. And I moved all over, from coast to coast over the years. But I never, I resonate with the land, but I never resonated with the world there. So that's why I moved to Asia. And then I resonate right away and everything is fine. So the question is very important. How you find it, there's two things you can do. One is by trial and error, like I did, traveling, going to an area, feeling how you are, how it does it inspire you, you feel at peace, you everything is wonderful. Or many people will have a private with me. They'll have a list of different geophysical areas or cities, and I can rate them for you very, very easily. That's very easy. I can match by frequency, no problem. But otherwise, the way I found things was trial and error in my own life. The kind of information I know now, I never knew back in the old days when I would transfer. But the trick with me when I would transfer, I was inspired to transfer there. Um, I had a kind of divine guidance. Like when I left Canada in 1991 to go to California, I specifically landed in Silicon Valley. Why? Unbeknownst to me, I was destined to meet Maulana Sheikh Muhammad Nazim Al Haqqani, who was the 21st Grand Master of the Naqshbandi Tariqat, greatest spiritual being I've ever met in my life, in person, and that transformed my entire life to be who I am and what I do now. Had I not gone there, I'd have never met him, and that was massive, covering a period of 4 years. So I had inspiration, but if you don't feel that, and you don't have a strong guidance system, just call me and I can help you with that easily. Okay. Question from Mr. Carl: how can we know we have crossed the threshold of being considered awake? Beautiful question, Carl. There is a nice, simple way to understand that, and it has to do with your inner dialogue. So the first thing is, are you aware of your inner dialogue? Do you see it as it's in action? Like this morning when I was getting ready for this collective, I was in the bathroom getting shaving, and the inner dialogue went to an old memory when I was a little boy at Ivor Chandler School in Windsor, Ontario. A couple of us kids were playing in the playground. I was aware, I saw the thought as it unfolded. I recognized it. And many times when I see the thought, I can trace back, why did that strange thought show up now? What prompted it? And then when you see the thought, it'll stop. That's one of the funny things about mind, because all mind is it's all dead. It's the past flowing into the present, from the present in your head where you become aware of it, toward the future, but it's just passing through. And then when you're really awake, because there's levels of awakening, so that's a stage, and it's a good stage. And then a higher stage is when you see something, you're aware that you're seeing it, and it does not trigger you. You simply observe it, but there's no identification with it. Identification means you get carried away with it, or it triggers you and you get a charge. You get angry, or you get real sad, or there's a charge, especially anger charges. Most of my anger charges, at least the ones that were common, they're all gone now, because I'm in a stage of awakening, and I can see thoughts and so forth, but I'm not awakened. An actual awakened person has witness consciousness. So witness consciousness is a high state, and what that means is it's like you're over here outside of yourself watching the play. That would be awakening. Enlightenment is different. Enlightenment means the inner dialogue stopped. That is the one defining commonality for enlightened people. Inner dialogue stopped. And the brain will only think when required. That's like Eckhart Tolle. That's different. But awakened is a fully awakened person lives in witness consciousness. And that's a very high state. Very high state. Did I answer that question? Shiba. How to have a positive mental attitude going into this new year with negative parts of the past still lingering in my environment? Beautiful question, Shiba. One, come in and see me, and we will systematically disassemble the negative parts and disintegrate them one by one. That's what I do. Number two, cultivate wealth consciousness. And when I say that, let me elaborate on that. This year, or 2024, I was in a state of massive suffering because of the car accident. And the nerve pain was so bad. And nerve pain, the only way you could really relate to it would be like if you had a toothache, but that the toothache goes all through your entire legs, and is amazing, right? So during that suffering, which extended like I still have, but it's like, let's say 9 months, 8, 9 months continuously. So I know what wealth consciousness is, but I during that time, I had to rally myself because it was so challenging, and I'm all alone here. So I rallied myself and I expanded wealth consciousness to include everything. So what does it mean? What you do, and it, all you have to do is cultivate this. If you actually just cultivate it, you'll find that it just happens. It's just a matter of vigilance. But when you look, you are looking for everything that you have, everything that is working, anything that is nice, sweet, pretty, good. The reticular activating center of your brain, you alert it to, it's just like when you ask the question, how many red cars can you see in 1 hour? And all of a sudden, you'll start noticing every red car. Same thing. So the wealth consciousness is you're looking for, thinking about, noticing, acknowledging, and feeling gratitude for everything and anything you do have. Sri Bhagavan said, if you were a beggar on the side of a road and you had a bowl, wealth consciousness would be having gratitude that you have a bowl and there's clothes on your body. That's gratitude for everything, right? Gratitude is the most superior of superior emotional qualities. And gratitude, Bhagavan has taught, it actually will rewire your brain. Gratitude has that capacity. That's also been noted in modern neurology now, cognitive science. Gratitude will do that, but you have to cultivate it. And then when to extend from wealth consciousness is also health consciousness. When I was hurt so bad, I forced myself to recognize that I have 10 fingers and 10 toes. My ankles work, my limbs work. There's a lot of pain, but I'm whole. So I would notice that. And I start to take inventory of all the things in my body that are okay. I have pain all through my leg, but all the other stuff is okay. And then from wealth, health, you just extend, and very soon, and then take stock of friends, people who love you, all of those kind of things, and it accumulates and builds. See, and it makes a state, a very powerful, happy, strong, secure state. And that, of course, goes into all your physiology, all of your genetics, the epigenetics of what's keeping you healthy, into everything by resonance, right? Did I answer that question for you? Always lucky. How to know if you have to distance from family members. Well, how do you feel? I certainly had to do that with my sister in the old days. Would be different now, but we're already apart for long. She lives way over in Canada somewhere. How do you feel? Now, it's always nice to heal the family. The one you want to heal, though, that the one that matters, if anything matters, is mom and dad. Now, you could physically distance yourself because with all of the triggers and everything, remember, all your subconscious minds from mom and dad. So all the triggers are in there. But to be able to relate to them, forgive yourself, have a higher understanding, do spiritual work to make come in and see me, and I will assist in making everything healed again. Same thing with brothers and sisters. I can work and help you a great deal privately with that. But but the fundamental answer to that question is how do you feel? If it's just tearing you apart or making you really angry or just causing endless stress and upset, absolutely remove yourself. Remove yourself. You can always, once you're strong enough and your consciousness is high enough, then you can deal with almost anything. But when you're not, nothing wrong with distancing yourself. Okay, Lisa. For the last 3 months, my body has ached. My muscles and bones hurt all the time, but the pain bounces around all over my body. What could it be? Physiologically speaking, problems most likely in the bowel. Number two, your body's trying to tell you that um, whatever you're doing or however you're living right now, it's not good, or it's full of stress. There's issues inside your consciousness that need to be found and cleared. When it jumps all over the body, um, it's a it's trying to tell you that you know how we have pandemics. We can have an epidemic in a specific city, in a specific organ of the body. In other words, macro, micro models. Yours is like a pandemic. It's trying to talk to you. You got a lot of inner work to do, and you may need to make some real large scale changes in your life, how you're living, where you're living, who you're living with, what are you doing for a living. So in your case, you would definitely, at least you want to come in and see me privately so we can trace this thing down, find out what's going on, and remove it. We'll solve the problem. Okay? That's my advice for that. How can I tell if I have subconscious blocks that are sabotaging my resolutions? That's pretty easy. Bruce Lipton likes to talk about that. So let's say you got 3 resolutions or 3 plans, and you're really ramped up about it. You can get really ramped up, like when you see people with Tony Robbins and they're really ramped up because that's his methodology. He's very good at it. And then you get started and it dies. Get started and it dies. I have stuff like that all the time. If it's something really important to me, I'll go after the cognitive dissonance. If it's not really important to me, then I just reboot again. But when you want to go to do something and it dies, it fails, something sabotages it. Remember, when something sabotages us, it's us, because the sabotage can't happen without us. It can't happen without us. If 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 it looks like you're a victim of something, just realize if you weren't there, that can't happen. Always remember that one of the highest understandings you can ever have is that everything is dependently arising and dependently ceasing. Everything is dependently arising, dependently ceasing. There are no exceptions at all. So that's all you got to do. When you want to go to do something, and if you can recognize that that's happened throughout your life, that's what we call, that's a program. That's one of the big programs. 1 through 10, something somewhere. That's where we have to deal with that. When it's just something habitual, some new habit you want to do to be more productive in 2025, and it drops, cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance will mean it's your individual, personal, subconscious. Collective unconscious is different, millions and millions of times more powerful. Like the issues between the blacks and the whites, that's in the collective unconscious. Between China and Japan, the Asians, they hate each other. That's in the collective unconscious. That's not cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance starts in the third program, third, fourth, and fifth. And that's where you're conceived, your subconscious downloads, it gets programs, it makes fundamental childhood decisions. And that's where depth healing is at its max. My maximum capacity is specialized third, fourth, and fifth programs as an individual human being. Okay, did I answer that question? Carl. Dr. G, I am so grateful for this Q&A. You're welcome. You're welcome, Carl. At least I agree with Carl. Thank you. You're so welcome. Why, are we already done? No, it's only 8:39. Sheba. How to get better at creating and sticking to routines. Oh, I like this question. Implementing meditation, exercise, create healthy habits, create overall well-being for myself, teach others. Beautiful question, Sheba. That's the crux of the matter. If you didn't, Sheba, if you didn't see my meditation class that I did just near the end of in December, I think it was the beginning of December, try to get a hold of that. I believe it's available because I teach Psych K. And so here's how you do this. One, like we're going to do in this collective, you remove cognitive dissonance to everything you want to implement. If it's there, if there's no cognitive dissonance, then there's no problem. Number two, write out each of these things you want to implement. Write it out, have it all really clear. And then when you go to begin, as John Assaraf would say, the intensity of the new behavior is not important. What's important is just doing it. So as Bob Rakowski would say, ask yourself, okay, if I can't do this, let's say it's meditation, if I can't do this or commit to an hour of meditation, can I commit and do 12 minutes? Because in reality, most people, they can't meditate for 1 minute. An actual meditation, not even close, usually 1 second or something. And most of them, like the earlier question about awakening, they don't know that. But anyway, can I do 12 minutes of meditation? Exercise, instead of 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, can I do 1 hour, 3 days a week? And it's not the intensity, just the fact that you do it. and maintain consistency. The way to maintain consistency is dopamine is released in the brain, which makes you happy and everything. It's released in anticipation of doing something, not the actual doing of it, anticipation. So you try to cultivate yourself that you're looking forward to the new things you're going to do today. You're looking forward to it. Um, and then after you do, say you do exercise, be sure you acknowledge yourself. I did it, and try to reward yourself in some way, something that makes you happy or tastes good or does something. But reward yourself. One of my ways of rewarding myself is I pat myself on the back. When I did this, I did that. In the early days, I would even write down what I accomplished, so that when you do that, it'll start to wire it in, wire it in, wire it in. And as I always say, if you don't remove the dissonance first, like the question I just had about pain all over the body, if we don't go after the cause and find the cause, all of the treatments are completely worthless. That's why the medical profession makes millions of dollars, billions of dollars in the pharmaceutical. They never treat cause. They wouldn't know a cause if it fell on them. You got to remove the cause, and then everything works. When it comes to making this nice new program, sounds really good. Go to the collective. We knock out the cognitive dissonance. You structure yourself carefully, and then you begin, and then you acknowledge. You begin and you acknowledge. Baby steps are better than no steps. Baby steps are better than no steps. Any action is better than no action when it comes to this kind of thing. Make sense? That the low pharmaceutical company wouldn't know a cause if it fell on them. That's right. They don't know what the cause is, and they don't care what the cause is. That's why their procedures are archaic. How to mentally magnetize the abundance of wealth into my life without sorrow. Without sorrow, I understand the first part of the question, but without sorrow, that's a strange way to word that. Um, because abundance should be equivalent with happiness and joy or contentment. Um, all you have to do with when you want to magnetize something, all this is, we're talking about resonance. So the negatives, negative programming, negative imprints, SEMO means sympathetic emotional memory override, means emotional traumas that are still living in your consciousness. All of those need to be removed. When they're removed, and you want to draw in abundance, there's nothing to block it. So then by resonance, you can draw it right to you. We would all draw everything to us without any problem if we didn't have traumas and negative imprints and negative energy. And like when you have a negative perception about something, that sets up a frequency. A negative perception is uh, the cognition that's radiating and generating a negative frequency. And the negative frequency is a broadcast. The broadcast resonates with everything at that same frequency level. Since it's really negative, the only thing it's going to resonate with are other things that are negative. That's why depression loves company. You ever heard of that? Depression loves company. Really depressed people love to be around other depressed people, and then they're all depressed together. And real happy people, they like to all be happy to get you know, it's by resonance. Everything in the universe is by resonance. Does that make sense? When you say without sorrow, I don't understand that part of the question, honey. Here's an interesting question. What is the biggest success story you've seen from someone using depth healing for their resolutions? Give me a second to think about that. You know, one of the issues with me is I channel, so I don't retain memories. Um, and he wants to know about resolutions. You know, I hear them from clients almost sometimes daily, but I don't remember. The one of the ones that always cracked me up was a fella in the UK, and he came to see me, and he wanted to get a visa, passport, and everything, so that he could move to Florida. He was a businessman, some kind of like a bookie or something, investment. He was like a troubleshooter for high high risk investments, and they wouldn't give him the passport and the visa or anything in the UK, and he was trapped there, and he was really unhappy. So he called me up, and I worked on his field to remove everything we could find negative. There was a lot of stuff blocking him. I don't remember what it was, of course, but a lot of stuff blocking him. So we removed all of that, and then we did the prayer and gave him diksha so that he could, go. And he went for his test, the first test, and he failed. They didn't give him any of the paperwork. So he told me that depth healing and my work is garbage and forget about it. And he quit. And I don't know, some maybe 6 months later, he was he got all the paperwork. He was living in Florida and making money coming out of his ears. And he still believes that nothing I did helped him, and none of the prayers or diksha meant anything. So that's a case of being blind, deaf, and dumb. But that's the only reason he was in Florida. I always like that story, but individual stories, they run, they go right through me. I don't recall anything specific. Shiva, without sorrow, meaning with no suffering to anyone. Oh, that's interesting. Um, Shiva saying without sorrow, she means with no suffering to anyone attached to attain the wealth. So now, so now we know why you might not be attaining wealth, honey. Because somewhere in your consciousness, there's a fear that if you become wealthy, you'll lose your friends, or they'll become jealous, or people will turn against you, the people that you're with, and things like that. Something along those lines. Always remember something. Anyone that actually loves you, that's really your friend or that is really your partner, will always be very happy for you to have success and abundance and wealth. And many great wise business coaches and that will tell you, as you rise up, if you decide to rise up and elevate your life, uh, you will lose a lot of people, and your social sets and so forth will change. Mine sure did. At the age of 27, when I left Ford's to go back and do my higher education at the University of Windsor, several people that were really, we had grown up together, they all disappeared completely. They wanted to stay here, and I went up there, and it doesn't matter. When you want to elevate yourself, there's nothing ever wrong with abundance and making yourself wealthy, unless in order for you to do it, you're hurting somebody, lying to people, cheating people. That's a mistake. That's a big mistake. Some people look like they get away with it, but nobody gets away with anything at all. Period. Nobody beats the Akashic records. But as long as what you're doing is what we call wealth creation. Wealth creation means it's win-win. So as you get your wealth, means everyone else gets wealthy too. Everyone else benefits too. It's not just the acquisition of money. Any idiot can just acquire money, but building wealth that benefits everybody else, everyone involved, that's different. And that's supported by the divine, that's supported by the universe. That's all, honey. Okay, next. Can you talk about upcoming collective in a few days? We're out of time. I I have a private in 5 minutes. Yes, so don't miss this collective because this is going to set the tone for your success. It's just in a couple of days. And spread the word, eh? The more people we have, the greater the healing you receive. So bring everybody in. It's only $50, but the benefit you get from it can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars. By the time 2025 ends, it can mean the difference between success, failure, everything. Everything is coming through the consciousness. So that's what we're doing, eh? And then the full moon seva is in the middle. And that between the next, so that one is going to set the tone for you with the divine for 2025, because Kali Yuga is winding down and things are heating up. As Kali Yuga comes down, things heat up. So we want to have that divine connection really powerful. And at the end of the last collective, I'm going to ramp up your physical body and your physical vitality. So you have the energy, physical drive and energy for this year. So this is a big month. This is the beginning. So I hope I see you, and tell your friends, uh, tell people on your platforms, get in there. Just go to the website, register, and be there, because collectives, you have to be there at that time, always. Okay? So I hope I see you there. I love you all. And can we talk about, yeah. And have a lovely evening. I think if you're in America, sweet dreams tonight, huh? Thank you very much, folks.